What's up, guys? Welcome to the Squaw Plug. We have a special guest today, Sophia Vieras, and we're going to be talking about the Arnold. Because Sophia's competing, she's like, and the Arnold's coming.
Yeah. It's coming.
Same. No. First, we're gonna go through raw men, raw women, then equipped men, then equipped women, and just kind of talk shop about competing and the upcoming competition, and yeah.
We'll break it down with points total here, where people are currently in the equipped rankings, and not equipped, sorry, in all the rankings here, and then where their dot score, where their dot scores line up, and then how this can get shaken up. So it'll be interesting as we dissect every category here, because there may be some game changers in this.
Yeah, no, there's a chance for upset there.
Oh yeah.
You know?
So let's start.
So how do we kick this thing off?
Start with the men. Raw men.
Yeah, raw
With
men.
the raw men.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've got them listed out in front of us here.
So let's start with their points rankings. So who's first? Bob.
Bob Matthews.
Bob Matthews, 582.8.
But we're looking at the points, 100 points.
Yeah, so Bob with 100 points, Petrie with 90 points, Ashton Rushka with 85 points,
John Gruden.
John Gruden with 75 points, Sean Noriega 67 points,
Yeah, went out.
and Fortino with 68 points.
65.
65? Damn,
He's underneath Noriega. How does he have more than him?
Cut! Okay.
So it's interesting for those who don't know how this whole Pro Series points works out. Essentially, how these lifters have amassed these points over the past year is their best placing at the Arnold, correct? With the best placing at a pro meet?
No,
pro meet and a national meet. Okay.
Yes, correct.
So it could be any form of the pro meets that have been occurring over the past year, along with their placing at nationals. And if you come in first place, you get 50 points. Second place, you get 45. Third place, 40, and so on and so forth. So these point totals right now are what they've amassed over this. And then this may change, but it may not be where they are rankings wise according to their dot scores. So you may see people that have higher cumulative Pro Series points, but maybe a lower dots points. So that's where it can get kind of exciting in terms of who's playing the game right here.
In this instance over here, what we're seeing here is the highest dots points belongs to Ashton with 589. Second place would be Bob with 582. They got Petrie at 578.
573.
So, I mean, so we're looking at basically those things there just to gauge how they're doing. We'll work off the numbers that they've hit as far as the points towards the pro, and we'll compare it to the dots and make some forecasts based on what we see them doing, based on the competitions and based off of things that are happening in training. So, that said, you guys want to do favorites? What do you want to do?
Ooh, okay. How we think this is going to shake out.
So,
I will say Bob has the Pro Series points lead right now, and he's in second place on dots behind Ashton. But Ashton only has 85 Pro Series points, so Ashton would need to win with Bob coming in third place or lower. Lower.
Even third.
But we don't even know what the tiebreaker is. So
but even if he gets third, he gets 40 points. Bob will get 40 points.
Okay.
So his Ashton will still be underneath him.
Yep.
So Bob has to get fourth place at least.
Yep, which that is pretty unlikely, to be honest.
No, there's no way.
I don't see that necessarily happening. I definitely see him shaking out at least into 1-2.
The thing is, like, I haven't seen Bob post lately though, so I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know how his training is going. Like, he hasn't posted in like a few weeks. Maybe he might be keeping it secret, but also I know that Bob is like, he basically lives off of posting and like he's a content. So like, I don't know why he's not posting as of lately.
No, I agree.
Because this is where you keep some secrets hidden. So I'll tell you, I'm not posting my stuff right now. I've posted some lunges, but you know, I'm keeping some things hidden so that people don't know. Because then they can't make their calls according to what they see people hitting in training.
True.
But with Bob, is like, he's always been posting. Like, no matter every single meet he's done, he's always been posting his training leading up to the meet. But this time he's just like, he went literally off the grid. He hasn't posted in a couple weeks.
It's true. I mean, like, even New York prime time, where I was supposed to compete against Bob, a couple of days before the meet, he's making a post like with his attempts, like for second, third lifts, and talks about how I don't miss. I don't miss, and he missed the platform. He didn't even show up. So he's, he got sick apparently.
There is some speculation that Bob is hurt right now.
There's been some things I've heard and so on and so forth, but like his circle is very tight. Rightfully so. I think it's good that they respect against the privacy and so on and so forth. But like him in the past, when he hasn't posted, there's been a direct correlation between him not posting and him being injured and not going to the best of training box or best points in his training. So we don't know. That said, looking at his last meet, the Virginia Pro, he had a very dominant performance there. He had issues with squat initially and then got past the turbulence, went on with a 512-pound bench press. His deadlifts were ridiculous as well, and he actually held back on his deadlifts, I feel. I felt like he was like RP 9.5 in that kind of range. Like he had another rep or so, or maybe just a little bit more weight there.
Well, the better question to ask is, does he need to hit PRs to win? So this is where you can play a smart game, especially when you have a 15-point lead over the person that could beat you, and you would have to come in fourth to lose that lead.
You never know
I would
what
play the
Petrie
smart
can do.
game and maybe lowball the attempts to what is manageable and what you need to win.
Well, that
But you
depends
don't
on
know.
what happens with Petrie, though.
Yeah.
Yep.
If Brandon is having a good training right now and he's doing well, he could well take it, and he might well have to pull for PRs.
We haven't seen anything from him either.
He could.
Also
Honestly,
staying hidden.
Brandon's been hiding a whole lot of stuff. He's been obscuring it behind J. Cole posts, which I kind of enjoy. Petrie is a meet day performer. So
Definitely.
you'll see him performing in meet during his training and so on and so forth. It may not be the best indication as to how he's going to be performing on meet day.
I think Petrie can easily get a 580 plus dots in this meet. Like if he can squat anything above 520, like 722 plus, bench like anywhere from 474 to 485, and like deadlift, I think he can pull like 830 ish if he's like on a good day.
I think so too.
And like depending on his body weight, that could give him a 5.
830.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could pull 830.
Yeah, he's in a good position here.
He
to
pulled
potentially
800 at nationals.
Also try to pull a win.
Wow.
800 in nationals at 90, right? So now he doesn't actually necessarily have to cut that low, but he'd probably be around, I want to say 91 to 92 kilos. So I think that if he can pull 830, I think his dots would be around 585 or maybe like around that.
Okay.
So,
So if his squat-
that means that he's pushing Bob. He's probably if he does good on that day, he can push Bob and force him to take big attempts.
I agree.
Yep.
And if he misses, then Asher might come into play. So what happened is if Petrie can win, Bob gets Asher gets second and Bob gets third. Then we have a tie
Ooh,
between
dun
Petrie
dun
and Bob.
dun.
So basically, what we're looking here for first and second place, realistically speaking, is either Petrie or Bob.
Yes,
That's what I'm
Ashley is
thinking.
kind of out of the winning situation, but he's not going to give up. You know how
No, I
Yeah.
know. Yeah, no.
Ashley.
Oh yeah.
He's definitely not going to give
He'll
up.
try to
Yeah, he's gonna try to pull something nutty out there.
He
So
he
let's-
just missed an 800-pound deadlift though. in training.
I think it was more than it was like
No,
eight-
it was.
no,
I think it was 800.
I'll pull
Pull
it
it
up.
up.
Right now. It was like 870. I think.
So
Are you sure?
Going back to this over here, the issue that I have with Brandon right now, not issue that I have with him, but like what I've seen that could be problematic from in this meet here, is his squats. And why I say his squats,
881.
What was it? 81.
He missed it on lockout.
What did he squat? 800 then?
He squatted 789.
Where am I getting 800 from?
He doubled 7.
oh, that's right, he doubled it. So yeah,
Doubled
he's
788.
he's gonna be okay.
On squat.
Okay.
I think Bob,
Well,
if he does what his training is showing, he can pretty much win this whole thing.
But we'll see.
I mean, in last nationals prep, he squatted I think 816, and then only squatted somewhere around I think 760, 770.
The thing with nationals
is it Ashton?
Yeah.
He was also sick that week.
Yeah.
He was like really sick. Like I heard he lost quite a bit of weight once he got to Las Vegas.
I heard he was having a good old time.
Yeah, that's what I
I may have heard some other
That's
things.
what I heard.
He almost
Yeah.
didn't make
One in
weight.
Vegas, right?
Yeah.
He almost didn't make weight.
Yeah.
He almost was underweight.
You hate to hear it. Oh,
I mean,
Lord.
he almost lost by to David Olson as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was a pretty crazy
He tried to pull
performance
400
there.
kilos.
That would have been a fun one actually to see in this board here, to be honest.
I know Dave Wilson.
That was a good deadlift.
pretty cool.
He fought really hard for that, and he just couldn't lock his knees out.
No.
But so back to Petrie though, back to Brandon here. The one thing I see which might haunt him on meet day, we'll see what takes place, we don't know, is his squats. His last squat attempt at 715, though he completed it, it was not to depth. And I'll tell you that right now. I love the guy. He's a great lifter and whatnot. I've known him for a couple of years. I wish him nothing but the best, but frankly, that squat was not where it needed to be. And it also tells me as a coach that we're looking at a whole lot of hip fatigue. And him being a sumo puller, hip fatigue impacts the other lift too. So if you're hurting in squats, your odds are you're hurting in sumo as well. I don't know whether it's the hips, I don't know whether it's the knees and stuff like that, but something's taking place. There's a bit of an ache. And if the tape it,
Tap your mic. Your mic. No.
have I been off this entire time?
No, it hasn't. It just turned off.
Am I sitting on or something?
You're not.
No, you're not. It's on.
Connected again or no?
I'm just restarting these. Well, you guys are good over there. It just keeps fading out. Okay, now I'm actually seeing something.
Good?
So I think
Okay.
one thing that in general everyone has to be prepared for, and I think this kind of ties into your point, is that there's going to be some strict judging. This is the national platform.
of course.
The stuff that you can get away with in training, you may not be able to get away with 3 national refs grilling you.
Absolutely not. And
Speaking as a national ref, I've seen that hit people. At the Virginia Pro, we've seen some people get hit with that as well. So you have to make sure you're training quality. And
No, I agree. So I don't think it's a quality thing with Brandon because I know how the standard he holds himself to. I think it comes down to fatigue. So it makes me wonder how hard he's been pushing himself and whether or not he can taper the way he needs to in time to do what he needs to do on meet day. So that puts a whole lot of uncertainty in the mix here. I think that he can have a very dominant performance if he has over 700-pound squat. His deadlift is going to be phenomenal as well. He's a great bencher as well for his weight class. Potentially 470, 480-pound bench press and whatnot. So he could make it happen. It could be very tight, a very tight competition between him and Bob at the meet. But I don't know. Looking at what I saw the squat video, it was more than just squat depth. It tells me a few other things are taking place there.
But that was a while ago. That was like a month ago. Though.
It was a month ago.
You don't know what's going to happen.
But I also haven't seen anything as heavy ever since.
True.
Yeah.
But like you also said though, Petrie doesn't post a lot
You're
of
right.
training.
That's true.
He likes hiding his top sets.
Yes.
And that's a smart thing to do. To be honest, as a lifter, that's the smart thing to do is keep your stuff hidden and have surprises here. And really, this comes down, the name of the game with this is going to be made attempts. These people have to make attempts. Because one missed attempt can put you 10 kilos into the hole, and that's going to impact the dot score too. So these guys have to show up, and I think this is where consistency is key. This is where you can look at someone's track record. How good are they at just making attempts, period, on game day?
Speaking about attempts and speaking about like Ashton trying to dominate and so on and so forth, you look at Ashton's attempt selections over the past and his the attempts that he's made, deadlifts, the vast majority of his third attempt deadlifts have been missed. You literally just open up and open powerlifting, it's there, it's plain to see.
Yep.
So I think in this position here, the pressure he's going to have on himself is going to make him pull even harder. If his past attempts are any indication as to what to expect in meet day and whatnot, he's going to go ham on here. Yep. And he may or may not have it. He's one of those people who really rises to the occasion, and he's all about doing the best that he can there to win. That's his mindset. So I see
if the strength's not there, the strength's not there.
It's not, but I'll tell you what though, he's going to be going for 900 to 925 pound deadlift pull for his third attempt.
Do you think he's going to go that?
Yes, absolutely.
Probably close to 900, I would say. Probably I would say 880 to 900.
If he hit 881 for a single, it almost had to double there.
No, he failed the single.
I'm sorry, I take it back.
I mean, he did. He dropped it.
He dropped it on the lockout.
He had the strength to at least get it off the
sick.
floor and to the lockout position, but he dropped it.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
But you also have to consider the fatigue cost of doubling. What did he double? 788.
Yes.
And then he benched.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there's going to be some central and peripheral fatigue going on
we
there.
don't know if there are back downs there in addition to that. Like I'll post my tops for my SPD sessions.
Correct.
What I don't say is that there are actually back downs after every one of them. So I'm
You
doing
do back downs on SPD
Yes, I do.
day? You're
Yeah.
wild, baby.
He's killing me, bro. That's why I do like
super set
that's why you guys he has me training 3 days a week, bro.
Oh, that's fair.
But I
What
think
did you post
actually-
that? What did you post yesterday?
3D specialist.
I think something you mentioned before that's good to point out with Ashton is the fatigue cost of a huge squat. He's a huge squatter, which builds your total. So this is where subtotals build championships in a way. If he can at least build the subtotal, he may not need to pull this much. And ideally, you put yourself in a position where maybe you don't have to test your deadlift limits if you put yourself in the lead. He's got the highest dots. He will, but a smart coach is going to do all these calculations for him to put what he needs on the bar to win. He cares about winning
So they all have the
more
same
than
coach,
PR.
though.
I don't think the Swole Wrestler knows how to do math, bro.
This gets scandalous, actually. I didn't know that.
Swole Professor is a great coach.
Oh,
he's a good coach, and look at his results. It's testament to it. The question is here basically just how coachable they happen to be on meet day. And I'm not sure what's
That's
happening
fair.
behind the scenes. I don't know what's taking place there. But I know that Ashton Roska, being Ashton Roska, based off of his past attempts, not to take anything away from him, I love the hunger. I'd much rather prefer to see a 6 for 9 like in meeting with them where we have spectacular attempts than to see somebody go 9 for 9 at like RP 8.5. That irks me like no one's business, dude. Like what are you doing? You know, like come on, we're here to see some.
A lot of people with Beck to differ with you.
I know.
I'm like, that's what I want my lift set.
I love
Just like it.
dude. Like
PRs,
you know,
but
like we
RP
what was it? You made a meme talking about like how you want the winner of the Arnold speed determined by like the top two fighting each other. That you see, is that not spectacular?
I think it would bring more spectators.
It would.
I don't know how legal it is,
But knowing Ashton though, how he's operated in the past, and based on the competition he has ahead of him, no matter what anybody's telling him, he's going to pull for the third. He's going to pull for something tremendous.
he's going to.
And if he had 881 by the whiskers and whatnot, he was like just there, almost had it and whatnot. You know, he's going to be going for 900. You know, 881 is there, like fatigued. 900 is going to be there fresh. That's the mindset.
Definitely.
You know.
and you know, a
For
little
third
ammonia
attempts, hey,
powder,
you
a
miss
few
it, what
face
else?
Also,
masks.
another thing with
Yeah,
Bob.
that's a 10-kilo PR.
Another,
there.
I know.
another thing with Bob
Be
is that
monstrous.
after the Virginia Pro, he started benching wide grip again. He started
Oh
doing his,
yeah, just
Who, Ashton?
little,
Yes,
little
he-
more to bring on bench too.
Yes.
Again, Subtotals Build Championships.
Exactly.
He squats
The bench is
something
climbing.
huge. He
Yeah.
puts in a nice bench. He's gonna put Bob and Petrie in
He might-
a position.
You know.
No, I think
He doesn't bench anywhere near those guys. Though.
No, but he went back to
he
wide.
could.
If he,
So-
yeah,
so
he
But
could.
that's the thing with Bob. The thing is like this whole time he's mentioning like close grip, and when I say close grip, I mean like his hands are literally on his chest before he presses.
Oh shit.
Like he's had like some pec issues, right?
And
And
so Ashton.
I'm talking about Ashton.
You said Bob. You were first to
Bob, I'm sorry, I meant Ashton. Because,
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
So
okay.
so Ashton is switched like so after the Virginia Pro, he went back to wide grip. I'm assuming because Bob beat him, so he wanted to take
So
the, get
let's
the
talk
most
about
out of it.
shorten the range of motion.
Now that we're talking about bench press, and like at Ashton there, he used to be a wider bench presser. I think in 2019, 2020, if memory serves correctly, he hit like in training like a 480, 490 pound bench press, and then he injured his pec, and then brought him back down to square one again. If he's going back into like a wider grip,
Yep.
that tells me his bench is booming right now. It's cooking.
Yeah.
Okay.
And his pec's all
He's
healed
cooking
up.
His
something
pec is all
big.
healed up. Yeah, like 20, 30 pounds. What we're looking
I
at.
think like a good I think we bench around 474. If I had to guess,
Maybe more.
I don't know. I don't want to I don't want to say like crazy number. I know Bob is. I mean, Ashton is Ashton, but I think he definitely has like.
But Bob is Super Saiyan.
Oh, yeah.
He is, but
SSJ
So
Bob.
let's talk for a second. What would it take for Ashton to win this whole thing right now? So
It's-
let's say
it's really
Ashton
hard. It'll be
wins
very tough.
the whole Arnold. To be honest, he's got the highest dots.
you mean when is
It's,
this?
it's not.
meet?
It's not even a question of what would it take Ashton like to win this. but
It's like
it'll
where
be-
would everyone else fall
exactly.
to take that
You
win?
need John Gruden to have a beastly performance and to beat Bob on dots,
Or-
to be able to have Ashton have any realistic chance of winning, whether or not he takes first place.
Yep.
So this, I think it comes down to
Yeah,
Bob is
John's got to
hurt.
put the pressure on these guys. So, like, never underestimate these people here too, who they can influence
Yeah,
the
of course.
placing of all
Or
of
if
these
Bob
as
is
well.
hurt, like we said, or he might be like that we don't know about.
And again, a few missed attempts, we lose 15 kilos off the total.
Yeah,
Like, these things can happen. I've seen them happen. Put in a bomb, you know, I mean, I would say a little less likely to happen in Raw, but it can still happen, you know?
course.
And
You have
especially
upsets.
that national platform.
Yeah, I
I
know.
saw it happen at the Virginia Pro.
the pressure increases, and also it's pressure upon pressure upon pressure. Not only is it him going like competing at the Arnold's, but it's like this is the ultimate, like a pro meet. Not only is it the ultimate pro meet, it's the ultimate pro meet against three of the best lifters in USAPL right now. In fact, if not
In the
best
world,
lifters
yeah,
in the
too,
world.
even. Like, these
And
are
it's not just
world-class
that,
lifters here.
But two other people were in his team. So the pressure's there.
Yeah.
And I know there's like that internal competition, and I love it. It's good. It molds them. You can tell iron sharpens iron in this instance over here. But the amount of pressure you have there, things can implode.
So, question for you guys as coaches as well. As a coach,
I'm not.
how do you
talking about
handle this situation? Let's say, because you are now having to make the calls to beat your own lifters. That is a very difficult spot to be
Honestly,
in as a coach.
I think as a coach in this instance, you basically trust your lifters to make the right decision. You guide them to whatever extent you can, and I can't imagine Marcellus having favorites, playing favorites in which you perform over here.
No.
But what
I
if
don't
it
see
comes to making a deadlift change? It's not about having favorites. It's about playing the game.
Yeah.
So
I would
there's
call
no
on
game.
assistant coaches to help me out in this situation.
So I think
to be
that
honest.
maybe when it comes down to what takes place between Brandon and Bob, that's going to happen. But Ashton makes his own decisions. So I think it'll be an issue there.
Gotcha.
You know,
Okay,
so we'll see.
that's
I mean,
fair.
Peachy, I think will also like. If I had to guess, who would listen to
Who coaches
his coach
Petrie?
is Bob. This is Swolfesser.
Oh, two?
They all
Okay.
have the same coach.
Damn, I didn't know
But if
that.
I had to guess who was,
Huh?
Yeah, it's
I
legit.
think that the one who like would trust Marcellus the most would probably be Bob. Like I think he's the one that he would actually
100%.
listen to him.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So now, reverse situation, as the lifter, I personally don't want to know anything of what's going on. I wouldn't want to make my own call. And even then, you can't make a change because like you need to focus on making attempts. You don't want to focus on making changes.
So
I think that comes down to the individual. And while, like, personally, not that I, step on these big stages or anything, but I like to make my own decisions on meet day.
I think in this instance here, what we can expect to happen is that Bob is going to put the decision making onto Marcellus. Marcellus will
That's
make
fair.
the calls. It's just what happened at meet day, and also at the Virginia Pro, was it Jonathan Garcia who got second place? If memory serves correctly. I think so.
Sure.
So it was
Yes,
pretty close.
yes, I
It was
think
pretty
so.
close. And so Bob saw what took place there, and I know how hungry Bob is, and he still held back because he knew what he needed to do to win.
That's smart.
So he's gonna make the right decision. Ashton is gonna do his own thing again. He's gonna see basically like
So what do you think Petrie's going to do then?
Petrie.
He's
That's
like
the question.
he's like
That's
in
the best
between.
question.
He's like kind of like a mix of both.
He's the wild card. He's the wild card
This is legit.
here.
This is a fun one.
You know what I would do if I was Marcellus? I would think.
Applying pressure.
I think
Yeah,
I think the
can
smartest
take a
thing.
background right now.
If I was a coach, I would just like stay out of it. Let them get whoever
Cassidy's
media
applying
handler they
pressure?
want.
I'm sorry.
Because like
No, no, no.
this is
like this is J Cole.
I'm talking about
He's been playing a whole lot of J Cole
Yeah.
recently, so I'm like,
That's a Cassidy song, bro.
Cassidy.
I don't know.
Well, you know what
Yeah,
you could do too is
J.
you can
Cole.
give them all the opportunity
12
to pull to win.
No, I'm kidding. I like it.
Whoever does it, does it. But at the end of the day, put the number they need.
But I might not want to actually have my handler know what I'm pulling, and like we have the same handler, right? Technically, if my coach is my handler, I don't want the other lifter to know what I'm pulling.
But they
I
wouldn't.
don't want the other lifter's handler to know what I'm pulling. But since we have the same handler, he will know what I'm pulling. So like I would say like.
You're right, conflict of interest right there.
Yeah.
No, I do think it's smart.
You know what
like
it is?
Sophia
I think
mentioned,
if I was-
to
if I
pull
was-
in a
If I
good
was the
assistant.
Marcellus and I
Yeah.
wanted to keep everything like equal, I would just step out of it and let them get their own handlers.
Yep.
That might be
That's
the move.
honestly, that's probably.
But it's
the
not
move.
going to happen. But I'm just saying that would be.
I think it might happen. I
don't know.
I think any
We'll
decent
see.
coach would be like, I'm not going to be that guy to do it because, it's like, you're playing subterfuge against your own lifters. You'd feel some kind of way, no matter whether you know the time of day
You
and all
would.
that kind
Yep.
of stuff. You'd be like, ooh.
It's a very difficult spot to be in as a
Oh, man,
coach.
it's
It's a
tough.
difficult spot to be
This
in
is-
as lifters,
tough.
you know.
Wow, that's crazy. Man.
Yeah.
First time I ever see something like this
Yeah,
happen.
this is the first time for him as well.
It's actually
because
happening
all three of
to my coach with one of
Yeah.
the other divisions.
The
And
one you're
he
like-
called in other coaches. Like, granted, my coach's decision in that, he's just going to put what you're capable of on the bar. He doesn't necessarily look at these dots, but he called in somebody else to help him do that work. And so I think you need to recognize that in yourself too. I know another coach who I've worked with well in the past, he gives both of the lifters the opportunity to pull to win. If you hit it, you hit it. If you don't, you don't. And it's been victorious for the winner. It's awesome to see them excited, but it's almost equally as painful to watch the person who didn't win in that situation walk away from that sad. But at least they both got the chance. But there's no right or wrong way to do this. You have to recognize what you can personally do as a coach and how you would handle it. And maybe each of them getting their own respective handler would be a good way to do it. But I'm curious to see what actually ends up happening.
Me too.
Yeah, same. All right, let's move on to the women then.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we have Sam Calhoun with 100 points. We have Gabby Martinez with 90 points. We have Celine Crum with 90 points. Jen Thompson with 80 points. And Jasmine Penn with 75 points.
Nice.
All right, so what do you guys think about this lineup?
I think my take, my favorite for this year is going to be Celine Crum. The reason why I say so is because she is meticulous about her attempt selection, and we're talking about how it comes out to attempts. Under pressure, she does not fold. Like in Virginia Pro, proof positive the fact that she delivers, she executes the way she needs to. 9 for 9 PRs all across the board, if memory serves correctly. Dominant performance. I think she held back a little bit on squats, if I'm going to be honest. I think maybe even for the other two lifts as well. This meet over here, I think if she decides to be a little bit more aggressive with her attempt selections and can risk going 8 for 9, whatever the case happens to be, I think she could pull out a monstrous performance and potentially beat Sam. Sam, I think, is not as consistent as Celine is.
I don't know. If you look at, I've got my money
I'm biased
on Sam
towards
here.
Sam
I'm
'cause she
totally
follows me on
biased towards
Instagram.
Sam. But I mean, Celine the Machine, she's also strong. But even thinking about this, for Celine to win, given that she's got 10 less points here, Sam would need to come in third. But Sam actually has the lead right now with dots. Celine's very close. Celine's like second in dots right now. But even if Celine wins and Sam comes in second, Sam still wins the Pro Series.
So Sam has been eating into her weight class, for these past few meets and whatnot.
Yep.
That's not been the case with Celine. Celine's been basically keeping constant.
Yep.
So if she decides to eat into this meet, it is anabolic. It's going to drive up performance. You can anticipate more anticipate her to benefit more from each pound that she gains relative to her dots than Samantha, for example. And when I talk about Samantha being inconsistent, I don't talk about it in general because her training I think is spectacular. But I'm looking at what open powerlifting tells us, what meet day performance tells us. Her third attempt deadlifts, which may be what the entire meet rests upon for her and for Celine, have been spotty. She's missed quite a few third attempts. And if it comes out to the third pull, and just like depending on where her positioning happens to be, whatever lot number she gets,
It is likely going to come down to deadlifts.
Oh, yeah. This is going to be an exciting
and
one
that's
to
going to
watch.
make or break point. The question now is basically what happens with Gabby Martinez, and I have to admit I'm not as familiar with her training as I'd like to be. So, Sophie?
I like Gabby. To be funny enough, she is an equipped lifter. She's won equipped nationals before. Yeah, and she switched over into the raw division, so I know a little bit about her here. Again, she's another one she can shake this up. I would put her as the dark horse here to potentially win as well. Again, it's about attempts made. And if you miss one attempt, that could put you 10 kilos in the hole. Put another pound or two on your body, and your total actually went down. Your dot score takes a little bit of a hit here.
Cue
And
Katy Perry.
Gabby isn't enough of a jumping distance to be able to potentially win this as well. Again, if she comes in first and Sam comes in third. But we don't know what the tiebreaker is on these point system
Fight to
as
the
well.
Fight to the
So that can make it interesting. So now here, I'll bring it back to the game day, or the coach, and the importance of a good game day coach. Where I know Sam Calhoun has Matt Gary in her corner, who is a very knowledgeable coach. He is very good at playing the game. And that's what you want. You want someone in your corner right now who knows how to play these games, because you're going to have to force other people to make attempts. It could come down to deadlifts. And then deadlift changes. Who's going in what order, right? If you could put in a fake number, watch someone either make it or break it, then change your lift. Sam may not have to pull a crazy deadlift to win this. I know that she's good to pull 500
Gary's
pounds,
gonna be on
but
top
Gary
of
is
that.
going to be... Gary's going to put the right number that she needs. And looking at her track record, she has gone 9 for 9 in most of her meets. The only time she ever misses these deadlifts is usually when she's going for an American record pull. But she may not need an American record pull to win this with the lead she has. So that's where the game day coaching is just as important, and making attempts. I know Sam's a lot like me, where we just focus and execute. One lift at a time, and we just try to make each lift. And that's what you need to do. You need to build the total. And the dots shake out where they do.
I agree. I feel like, when it comes down to that, she's in good hands. Her handler will be, Matt Gary is one of the best. He's one of the, I guess, one of the people, I guess, who you look up to, I guess, to be a game day coach, to be honest. Looking at Celine Crum, though, she works with TSG, the strength guys.
Yep.
They know what they're doing. They've been around the block a couple of times. They have, like world champions, national champions, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So when it comes down to vying for the lead, and fighting
they
for
coach
position,
Taylor.
They coach Taylor. You know what I mean? Look at Taylor.
Yeah.
Literally.
Oh, yeah. And this
But
could
Taylor
be
is
when,
different.
like...
No, Taylor is different though. Like Taylor, he knows he's gonna win no matter what he does.
That is true.
So, like, you don't have to, they don't have to do a lot of work for him.
But honestly, that's true. But the restraint that these guys show, and like the decision making prowess that they have, I mean, it's obvious in the fact that Taylor can go to meet, and it'll go like an RP 7-8 meet. I'm exaggerating, obviously, and they'll allow him to do so because they're looking at their aspirations of bigger picture things, like the Sheffield,
Yep.
which is around the corner. So this stuff. So they make very good decisions as far as that's concerned. Strategy and that kind of stuff. I want to say this is stuff that many coaches, myself included, aspire to emulate. So I think as far as that's concerned, I'd say they're matched. So it comes down to meet day performance itself.
Yeah.
Celine Crum of Risa. When was the last time she missed an attempt? It's been a while.
Wow. And that catapults on itself, too. So we'll talk about that real quick, because, like, when you haven't missed a lift in a while, you feel unstoppable. There is something about that energy that you bring into game day where you just know, like...
It's momentum.
It's
Build
momentum.
that momentum.
And that momentum happens on meet day as well.
Yep.
Like, and this
She
is
is
where...
a meet day performer.
Yeah.
If nothing else.
And even like going 3 for 3 on your squat, it builds into your bench. And then your bench goes 3 for 3. You know you're going to come away with that third pull.
Yeah.
So this is where momentum...
Psychologically,
is
you're in a
a
very good
psychological
spot.
momentum.
Speaking about
is
momentum,
huge.
the woman took like a couple of months off of like nationals. Just stopped powerlifting altogether, from what I understand. It wasn't Celine.
Interesting.
Her like her heart was in the game, whatever.
Yeah.
She decided to take a little break from it, or go like have some lackluster training sessions. And the Virginia Pro had like hits, and she just dominated. She just like absolutely crushed it. So we're looking at like fresh off the heels of that, and now she has like the ultimate, like a pro meet and whatnot. I can only imagine that picking up steam even more so. The snippets of her training that I've seen recently as well also indicate that she's going to have a stellar performance. So as good as she was a Virginia Pro, I anticipate it being even better still on this day. And if she decides to basically not hold anything back and to really let loose and to go for true RP 10 lifts, we could see something spectacular happening there.
Yeah,
And
that's
again, my favorite
exciting.
personally, I'll put my money on Celine, but we'll see.
Okay.
Definitely. I will give honorable mention here to Jen Thompson as well. Again, not her first rodeo. She's very smart. I mean, her points right now don't necessarily put her in striking distance of winning the whole thing, but maybe she could shake up especially she's only one dots point behind Gabby Martinez. She could shake up the order because remember, if Crum comes in first, Sam comes in, like this can change up the order just enough.
One thing though about that though, the dot score that we have there for Jennifer Thompson is an old dot score. Of recent, her dots has
She's
been
gone up a weight class, and she's still hitting PRs though. I will say she's hitting lifetime PRs. 47 years old. She's
I have
badass.
nothing but respect for Jennifer Thompson.
Yep.
Like she dominated her bench press alone. I'm a bench enthusiast. So
We all are.
as much as she
Oh,
does.
yeah.
Except Mark. We all are.
I'm sorry, Mark.
It's okay, Mark.
Hey,
So
You will best replace
So
it. It's
I
okay.
honestly
day.
love to see her. She's like I want to say the person would like to see her perform best out of the entire crew. But realistically speaking, her best dots of late, if I memory serves correctly, is 520. The difference between that,
she's not going to win on hopes and dreams.
And also the
No, but she could at least shake up the order for others to maybe change what they have to take, right? So it's about attempts here. This is now where the game day coaching matters. And Jen can at least put the pressure on
you
these
think
other
so?
guys.
That's
And
fair.
she's a good deadlifter. People know her for her bench. I think she deadlifts close to 200
She's
kilos.
not a bad deadlifter.
She can pull. I mean, her squat, I think,
Not
is
very
where
well.
that's where it kind of holds back her full total. But you know what? With a little bit of the extra pounds that she has on her body, put a nice squat PR in there, a solid bench PR, and like she could at least put
Jen
some
squats
pressure on
like
these
I bench.
guys to make their deadlifts. Because this is it came down to those third deadlifts. She can at least put the pressure on these ladies to need to make attempts.
But I think as if I were the coach in this situation where I was coaching either Sam, Gabby, or Celine, as much as I like Jennifer Thompson, I wouldn't be even considering her. The pressure that she may apply and whatnot would be something which is temporary, fleeting, maybe for the lift itself. When it comes to the overall like performance and whatnot, I don't think it would be as much of a pressure. Who I consider it to be the dark horse here is Jasmine.
Strong.
We'll see what happens in this next performance. 534 to 550s isn't that big of a jump, and she's in the prime of her lifting career right
Yeah.
now.
That's fair.
Definitely. And she's also coached by the Swole Faster, I believe, right?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but no, I think I
actually have no idea either.
We can double check this, fact check some of this stuff, but I think, to be honest, where she is right now in the Pro Series points, she doesn't necessarily have the chance to win this. She could at least sneak herself up above Jen Thompson and come in fourth all around, which, I mean, at this point, if you're at the bottom, your goal is to just claw your way up as high as you possibly can.
Realistically speaking, I think at this meet, Jasmine will be outperforming Jennifer Thompson.
She could even come in third. If
mean,
Gabby doesn't have the best day and Jasmine has a fantastic day, Jasmine could potentially come in third.
I mean, the reason that
those
Jen Thompson
screenshots?
has all those points is because of the pro meet that she did it. She went against basically nobody, and she got 50 points for.
But
just
she did
showing
do that
up.
the week after Nationals.
She did, but
This is now how you play the game. She's smart enough that she went off and she did that meet. As much as people may be like, well, no one was there. Well, she was there.
I know,
And that's the
but I'm
reward that
saying-
you get. You show up.
I don't disagree with you, but I'm just saying that those 80 points don't necessarily reflect her. Like, she's not actually the fourth best pro at the moment right now, like according to dots, but she's a best.
She knows how to play the game because she's been in the game long enough. That's
now
why you can't underestimate
it's a
her.
series finale though. Like that's all that matters right now is just the dots. So what do you put up?
Yeah.
So to get back to
But again, enough of a striking distance between her and Gabby, right? Literally one dot point on her best. And then, like, not too far off from this, Honestly, it's a very good spread right here with how this could all shake out. She could at least put the pressure on the other girls to need to make deadlifts. Same thing with Jasmine Penn. Both of these guys are in enough of a striking distance where they can put pressure on people.
Yeah, I agree. So
Yeah,
you said
to answer to go back to what we were talking about earlier, looking at Jasmine Penn, She's actually coached by Michael Shea.
Okay.
So
Sorry,
So
messed
that's-
that up.
so his coach is actually
No,
this.
no. His coach, if memory serves correctly,
Isn't him this professor?
it is this whole.
I told you. I know it.
Wasn't he coached by TSC or TSC?
No, I don't think so.
not
I don't
quite
think
sure.
so. He's been
But
coached by
it's-
this professor for a while.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's
so
interesting.
running the
Okay.
coaching game.
So the
right
coach's coach is actually this professor. So you're technically right.
now. It's in the family lineage,
Yes.
right? The coaching lineage.
Looking at Jasmine's current lifts right now, like the one she just posted 30.
It's at 205.
That's 440 pounds on deadlifts. Her best performance, deadlift wise, was 462, and she tried made an attempt. In fact, her best deadlift was 468. Her recent, most recent meet, she tried pulling 485. When I'm seeing this video over here, there's a whole lot of fatigue there.
Yeah.
So this woman is in need of a taper.
Neighbor.
We're all in need of a taper right here. I think she could put some pressure on these ladies, though. I think this would be the dark horse in my eyes. I think she can definitely claw her way up this list.
I agree.
She's also fun to watch. She's kind of like Ashton in a way where she attacks lifts. You know, every lift I've seen her take, she attacks that thing with 100% effort. And this is, you know, it's about making attempts. If you give 100% effort, well, regardless of where these results shake out, you cannot be disappointed in your performance
That's
when
fair.
you leave 100% of what you have on that platform.
Totally agree. All right.
So that concludes the.
That concludes the Raw men and women. Moving on to Equipped. I don't know any of these guys.
So I know a few of them. Jared McQuinn, he's been around a while. He clearly has the top points right now. So I think he got second at the Arnold last year, behind James Vang, who's no longer in it this year. And then I want to say he came in first at Nationals.
So he is dominating.
Yep, he's dominating. He kind of has the lead. But, so what Raw doesn't really have as much is the bomb out factor. That can happen. Actually, that removes you from the whole Pro Series. So I do know if you bomb out at any of these events, you're removed. Your whole points are lost.
Wow, okay.
Who did it happen to? Natalie Richards. When she bombed out of Nationals, it removed her from the whole Pro Series because she won the Virginia Pro last year. So that can definitely shake some things up here as well. But I do know Jared's been consistent enough where as long as he chooses very smart openers, it's his day. I know Josue. Josue's been around in this a long time. I want to say he maybe came in third last year at the Arnold. I'd have to double check, but again, no stranger to the stage. So I think that he can definitely have a fun time. He's also a very energetic lifter, fun to watch. I think he's going to bring a solid amount of energy to the platform this year.
That's wrong.
Equipped bench is pretty fun to watch.
Yes,
I
equip
know
bench.
that.
So that's the thing too. It's funny because I wouldn't like with equipped lifting. It's not over till
just
it's
watching
over.
people like die with like 200% of their max over
it's a
their
good time.
face.
always a good time, but this is where like choosing smart openers is even more important.
Yep.
You know, I think that you really get tested to that level. But I think we have some other players in the game. Bershears, I don't know much about him. I believe he's a collegiate lifter. But again, very good bencher. So I'll say that again, subtotals build championships. Like if you build a very solid squat, a very solid bench, and then ideally you only pull as much as you need to win.
Yep.
And then you leave a little bit in the tank.
So speaking about where Josue placed last time, it was second place back then. That's
Yep.
yes. 567 squat, 352 pound bench press, and a 606 deadlift.
Yep. And it's interesting because here we have a little bit more of a shakeup in terms
Weight
of
class,
dots. So Josue's in second by points,
67
but
kg.
technically in third via dots. Again, though, this is where it can get a little like spicy. And this is the fun part where it stays a game. So we'll see how the order shakes out for them. But again, the person who could beat him by dots is significantly behind by Pro Series points. And I think we mentioned that a few of these guys have only done one meet. So they've only amassed Pro Series points from generally nationals. So it's usually because some of these lifters were doing collegiates, which we remember collegiates is in April. So a lot of collegiate lifters who just tend to be a little bit more involved in the gear because you need a team. They did not participate in the Arnold last year because the Arnold is so close to collegiates. So, and collegiates did not count as a pro meet for them. So they were not able to amass points at collegiate nationals. But I do still think there's some nice dot scores here where they can shake up the order a little bit and put some pressure on people to make attempts. And then we have Jesse rounding it out with 40 points, 542 dots. So that'll be interesting. I think he's kind of at the bottom here, but again, has enough of some jumping space where For example, he has a higher dot score than Berkshires, but he's 10 points behind. Again, depending on where this order shakes out in terms of points, this could be where we're maybe seeing those change attempts on deadlifts to pull to put yourself in a certain position.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was looking over here, I guess, to see, I guess, like where, which meets, I guess, the accrued points from. But legitimately, if it comes down to, I guess, like any kind of bomb miles or that kind of stuff, any shakeups that take place off of too aggressive open or whatnot, this could shift the entire playing field there.
Yep.
You know, it makes sense. It's just another dynamic that frankly, in Raw, you don't consider as much.
Yeah.
Definitely. And it's interesting because I think with, for example, Raw, let's say someone were to bomb out, I'd say more often than not, it tends to happen on squat, usually for something like depth. It rarely happens on like benches unless you just really didn't choose a smart opener, weren't prepared for a pause.
Yeah.
Deadlifts, it's very difficult, but we saw it happen to Natalie Richards. So it could definitely happen even at a pro level in the Raw series. I would say
I'm still shocked that it happened, to be honest.
yeah, but again, it's this is where you got to hold yourself to the standard in training all the time. If you're squatting high in training, well, don't expect it to just magically show up there on meet day. You got to prepare yourself for these things. But I would say it tends to happen with squat or bench. You're not out of the water yet just because you made it through your squats. The bencher can definitely be the most, I would say the squat and the bencher are like the most finicky pieces of equipment that you're dealing with.
And then you have the wraps.
The wraps are not, if you get some, well, it's also timing, right? So, it's not even about a good wrap versus a bad wrap. It's about like, how long were you in those wraps? How fast is the spotting and loading? All right. Ideally, the best wraps get you boom, boom, and then they call bars loaded and you're able to walk out on there. But like, you know, if it just, for whatever reason, maybe the spotters are very fast and it's already loaded and you're still in the process of getting one knee wrapped or something happens in this, that can definitely
Like I remember
test the pressure.
The UFC, one of the pro meets, one of the untested pro meets, I forget which one it is because they kind of like, you know, meld into one. I think it was the WRPF one, where basically it's like, you know, like there were a whole lot of issues with squat depth and so on and so forth. I think what it comes down to is on meet day, you basically have somebody who wraps the shit out of your legs, and they do it to such an extent, you know, because you're basically wrapping, but you're also putting a whole lot of tissue like behind the kneecap itself.
Yeah, that happens.
So imagine having like a tennis ball, you know, size kind of like, you know, like a clump back there. How much harder it'll be to hit depth.
Yep.
How much it'll throw off your positioning. You know, looking at people being pitched forward to the sides, so on and so forth. Having a hard time
I
actually getting into
remember
depth.
this wasn't in a competition, but Derek Thistlewaite.
Yeah.
He threw 903 over his head
remember that.
because he hit the hole, and that's what he said. He's like, I had this like huge bunch up of my wrap behind my knee, and he's like, it just shot his hips back, and he just pitched forward, and he threw 903 over his fucking head. That was pretty wild.
Fail.
And then he got it. He went back and squatted it.
that's-
5 minutes later.
So I think that's an element that can come. People can miss an opener, come back and nail it with just a little jack of the shirt differently, maybe adjusting of a wrap.
course.
So like, I think there's a lot more unpredictability
And
sometimes.
when we talk about like misgrooving, you know, like I think that if memory serves correctly, I think the term itself was coined off what happens in equip lifting. If there's any one of the lifting variations where it takes place the most prominent, it
I
is
would
in
say that's
equip lifting.
that's the only place it exists
I
for real.
remember seeing. I remember back in the day. But I think it happens. I think it happens in Raw as well. I mean,
Does not.
You come down, you brace the wrong way. You know, you don't have the right positioning. You start off a little bit differently. Maybe you're over cueing your foot positioning and not worried about your brace.
Disagree.
Lo and behold, clamshell. Anyway,
Tell us why you disagree. Tell us why you disagree. Tell us why.
let me hear
Because
this.
honestly, because I just don't think that people are lifting heavy enough weights to really. I mean, yeah, if you put too
You are
much.
not lifting heavy enough weights.
The ropes.
Don't talk about us.
Oh yeah,
Don't talk about us. Yeah.
bro. You don't deadlift much more than I do.
How much do you deadlift?
What do you deadlift?
Oh my
650?
God. This is what the squat plug becomes.
I have short arms,
We're
bro.
supposed to focus on these.
That's why you
ahead
bench
of us
more
here.
than me.
Okay,
Okay. Anyways,
Back to knee wraps.
Anyways,
So
back to knee
ideally,
wraps.
Good knee wraps too are also appropriately graded. So I would say, for example, I don't need RPE 10 knee wraps for my opener. Ideally, you have like your RPE of knee wraps goes up with your lift. Your opener, maybe RPE 8 knee wrap. Your second attempt, RPE 9 knee wrap. By the time you get to your third attempt, yeah, give me everything
RPE
you got
11.
and take every centimeter of material out of that
for
wrap.
the audio only audience, right now, Mark just blew Mateo a prison bitch kiss.
We actually love
Just
each
thought you
other.
should know.
We might talk shit to each other, but we really
I
behind
do.
the scenes.
I love
we,
But he
Mateo.
has the
behind
hair
the scenes, we
down,
kiss
so-
each other.
He's gunning for mine right now, so.
Wait 8 more weeks, bro. Just 8 more weeks.
And then you wait however many more weeks it takes for September Nationals. Then I'll show
I
you.
mean, we'll go against each other. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't.
know. Indirectly though, I'll be 125. Maybe
You should go down to 110.
I'll
Just
probably go to 140. Who knows?
no, you should go down.
Oh, speaking of which, I looked at my numbers and I was looking for 125. I didn't find myself in 2023 at all. It's because I went up for 2 pounds for the meet for new prime time. And I'm at 308, but I'm actually number 2 in the country right now.
Oh, for 308?
That's legit.
For a month.
The lightest 308 ever.
Because it's still January. That's why.
That's awesome.
The next person who's number 1 was actually the person who beat me in my weight class.
No, that's
277 pound 308.
How many people did you have in your weight class?
I know. It was
How many
literally
people?
2 of us. It was literally me and him. That's
Yeah.
it. Well, at my weight class, because there's not actually weight class at prime time. By next month, I'm going to be like number 40 or something like that. The 308 is stacked, bro, like the big dudes.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
so
fair.
there's makes me want to have another meet in between.
But you should go down to 240. You should go down to 242 just so I can go against your nationals.
I'm actually contemplating it after nationals. I mean, we'll make it
No,
happen.
not after
No.
nationals. No, you don't
Ride
want
the
the
bulk.
smoke. That's why.
Ride the
don't want
bulk,
the
man.
smoke.
Be super heavy. Time to start eating more. Grocery bills are going to go up. But.
Actually, you know what?
101.
I might come up to your weight class.
You
know what?
101 dots.
Oh, geez.
I might come up to your weight class. I might do the meet at Collegiate National is 275.
You mean 308?
Get first place out of.
You
Gotta get up to 308.
Can you even hit the minimum
276.
I'm not that
Imagine he does that.
He's gonna, you gotta be like wearing stuff
With
on
the
that
dots of
scale.
Look like the fucking
345.
Pillsbury Doughboy.
Your total
I'm not
weight's the
that
same.
far away.
Your weight goes up. I know it is. It isn't. But like, what happens is that if you gain another 80 pounds,
No, I'm not talking about 308. I'm talking
no, I'm
about.
talking about 3-way. If you want to go against me, you gotta go 3-way, buddy.
When are you gonna go 308?
Oh, well, I did go 3-way already. According to this last meet.
277 pound
I
308.
qualify for Nats of both weight classes. I am in very, very bad shape physically.
He's a light heavyweight.
Well, it's interesting what I learned actually. Well, I confirmed this with the Pro Series. There's no weight classes in the pro level meets.
You know where there's no weight? I was just
Jungle, I
saying
know,
that.
you guys are ridiculous.
You also know where there's no weight classes? Jungle.
But for
That's what I say to
anyone,
Soph all the
for
time.
anyone
dots
that
in the
was
jungle.
cutting weight, they might not need to cut weight. into
Soph
this.
and I's race
So
to
they may be able
300
to
bench.
hit even higher
Yes.
numbers here. It may influence the dots, but if you can proportionally just lift more weight overall, you could still see an increase in your dots here.
You could potentially, but again, it comes down to whether it's relative or not. Going back to our conversation earlier, though, where you were saying before we actually started the podcast, talking about how dots benefits people at two extremes, either super
Yeah.
light or super heavy. Maybe in that case, but I mean, for me, weighing in, showing up to meet weighing 380 pounds, this is the most conducive thing for my lifestyle.
You don't think you can fight fires like that, bro?
Imagine me scrambling up a fire escape weighing with all my collective gear 500 pounds.
Unless you'd be able
The
to
fire
break,
escape would collapse.
unless you'd be able to break a lot of doors.
I would. Oh my god.
That's all they call him in for.
They'd
They'd be like, wait in the truck, bro. We'll call you when we need
this
you.
one, but the summer before, when I was still playing football, I think I reached like a peak of 290 some odd pounds. The way doors were crumbling under my weight, it was ridiculous. I was like, oh my god.
Too big.
And then 2 steps into the apartment. Probably not the best thing.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool though.
All right, so equipped women.
Yes.
Rounding it off.
And we have the
Rounding
star
it
with
off.
us today.
And we have the star.
So my guess, and I think obviously,
This is all. Soph's all our favorite.
Yes, obviously, for more reasons than one.
Thanks, guys.
She's got it.
She's first of all. She's first in the rankings.
There's something. I see
True.
an issue there. I'm seeing
No, it says 70, I think.
Renee Brown has a 6'10" dots.
Yeah, so we were talking just briefly. You mentioned how the dots influences or positively benefits the people at the ends. I believe she's a lightweight. I want to say she's in the 48 kilo weight class, and she's putting up some impressive numbers. But she's definitely got the dots here, so she could potentially win this thing. But this is again where you play the game. So I don't necessarily need to win the pro series.
Of course.
And you have to ask yourself as a lifter. So, I've told my coaches I prefer for them to do it. Do they jump it? Do they not later on when it comes to deadlifts? You know, what are the priorities? What do I want to win? What am I okay with maybe taking a hit on? I'm not going to discuss on the podcast because that's my secrets to keep, but my coaches, in the corners.
Give us your tell us what you hit for a squat last night. Give us your first, second, and third attempts on each lift.
We're still hiding the attempts.
Like she's winning this on second attempts alone, you know, to be honest. So,
but this is where you got to be smart, you know. Like this is where I personally don't like to know what's going on. Like I'm aware of these things because they've been showing us these things, and I know some of the girls on here because the equipped community, I would say, a lot more tight knit than the raw community. Like these girls, I don't know how much. You know, these guys and girls chat. I know these guys are all on the same team, so they're probably chit-chatty. But, like, I would say equipped lifters, like, we know each other because it's a very small community and we support each other, you know? And, like, how it shakes out at the end of the day, you hope it shakes out the way you want it to. But, like, I try to not pay attention to any of these things. So, like, my coaches are aware. They can play the game for me. I remove myself completely for the game. I recognize that when I focus on the outcomes, I don't perform as well. When I just focus on executing and making attempts, that's when I have my best meets. So I don't focus on any of this stuff for myself. I don't focus on what's going on meet day, on what people are hitting, what people weighed in at. I try to put on a blindfold.
She
to
just
all
plays
of
the
that.
pop top 50
Yeah.
with her headphones
I got my
on.
headphones, eyes closed. Like if you ever watch me at a meet, my eyes are closed in between attempts.
you know, I honestly have to say, up until a meet, I really like, you know, I am externally driven. You know, it comes down to basically perform well. Like, and it's not a way like, in other words, I wish ill upon anybody else because I don't, absolutely don't. I want to have the competition the day, absolutely kick ass. And in the event that I beat them, whatnot, I want it to mean something. But on meet day itself, like, well, to go back to earlier, I'm driven externally. It's like, in other words, I see somebody doing as well as they are. I think to myself, why am I not doing that well? Why can't I not do that well? And I should. And so it allows me, I guess, like to broaden my horizons and to remove those blinders, limits, and fears and all that kind of stuff, and to do as much as I can unbridled. On meet day, I could care less what's happening around me. I'll do my own thing. Apart from, I guess, like maybe it absolutely being necessary for me to win a certain position, then maybe I start worrying about like what I need to do for DAS and so on and so forth. But I don't watch people lift. I don't see what the person ahead of me did, what the person behind me did, and I do the same thing for our lifters. I'm like, don't pay attention to this. My thing, what I say to them all, and they'll tell you, Samantha, they'll tell you, Marquino will tell you, all these guys, is do your own time.
Yep.
Other sports, if you sit down and you watch people play, like let's say wrestling, I used to wrestle in high school as well. If you watch people wrestle all day long, it's fatiguing.
Yeah.
When it's your turn to wrestle and whatnot, it works against you. Best thing you need to do is do your own time. Like, go mess around, that kind of stuff, like eat, like, you know, drink, that kind of stuff.
But that's the saddest part sometimes. Like so I have 3 of my teammates actually competing in the morning before me. And you guys have no idea how bad I want to be in that audience cheering them on. I'm going to be smart because I got to conserve my energy for the afternoon. Because it was funny. These are actually the 3 that are competing against each other. And I told you my coach was in a tough spot where they maybe be competing against each other. So I had the genius idea. I was like, put me in the corner. He's like, put me in, coach. I'm like, put me in. Like,
That would be horrible.
but you have no idea that energy would amp me up. But the problem is it may amp me up too early.
He has done that before. He's handled people before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Competing
It's
right now.
exhausting.
My worst
It's
meet
exhausting.
handily, and I actually bombed out of me when I called for my feet positioning, whatever. I know what it is. It was like 100% unfair, you know, whatever. And that beside, my worst meet was the Long Island meet where I handled DeAndre in the morning, and then the evening session I had to lift myself. The chalk dust all over the air. The place, like, you know, was filled to the brim. I want to see well past, I guess, like the fire safety capacity, to be perfectly honest.
Of course, the firefighter notices the capacity.
Well, he would know.
Yeah,
He would know.
Imagine if you're about to go for your squat. This shouldn't be happening right now.
Okay, here's
Somebody call the marshal.
Here's a fine. $10,000. Thank you. You know, so they had bumper plates in the warm-up room. You know, like how are you gonna have? And the floor was shaky, so they had pads on there. It was like it was not conducive to doing well. So the experience.
I mean,
the stress
even
of the
just
day.
being at a meet all day,
handling
just coaching,
people.
Of course.
even just being
course,
there,
yes.
by
It's
the end of the
stressful.
day,
Yes.
you're exhausted.
So I was loading plates, all that kind of stuff, helping him out that stuff. And it wasn't like, you know, just a meet where he was going to go out there, just lift and do what he needed to do. He had some tough competition. He ended up taking second to this person. It was very close, vying for the lead. So you can imagine how stressful it was.
Absolutely.
So it came time for me to lift and whatnot. I had also a lot of things taking place externally. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. A lot. I'm not going to get into the details, but
a lot.
You know, it's interesting though. So I'm currently listening to David Goggins' book. I love David Goggins. I know it gets me amped up.
No, me
I
too.
started listening to this
Me
on
too.
my way to training. But he had a good line that kind of stuck with me actually in a chapter that I was listening to this week.
Who's going to carry the boats?
No, it's like no, but it's like the unprepared mind wants the perfect meet day conditions. Everything goes perfectly. They want the sunny day, the perfect platform, the perfect warm-up room. But the prepared lifter wants the kind of crappier conditions because that's the conditions they thrive in. That chaos
Sounds like a bit of a false
No,
start.
but
It sounds like Russell Lowry right now.
No, but that. So I don't know if you guys remember from
Kinda
one of
makes
the prior
It does make
episodes
sense.
that
Head
I
and
was
shoulders
on.
above the
I had
rest.
everything going against me last Arnold's. I had been sleeping 4 hours a night. I was in the process of finishing up my course and recording it, closing on a house, about to leave my job. I was not in a good spot, and I had one of the best meet day performances of my life. 9 for 9 with total PR, like individual PRs. I'm like, where the hell did this come from?
Thriving in
Because
the chaos.
I let go of everything. I thrive in the chaos. There was a moment before the meet that I was like, fuck it, whatever happens, happens. And like, just leave everything you have out on the platform. And not just everything that I've amassed from the 10 years I've been lifting, but from the 10 years I was a wrestler before that, I captured that mentality and I was like, just leave it all out there. And sometimes I need those unperfect conditions. The bar is rolling away. There's a little bit of baby powder. Whatever. Suck it up, Buttercup. This is when champions emerge.
True. But for every time that happens, though, like realistically speaking, I mean, that's the exception to the rule. It's happened to me as well. My first and only USPA meet that I ever competed at, 2 weeks before the meet, I was eyeing the meet. Literally eyeing the meet. And I somehow accidentally, I will pay all that kind of stuff, and I paid for the meet. I signed up for it. Looked at my email address, my email. I was like, oh shit! Like I signed up for this. So, okay, I guess I might as well. During the time of training, what I was doing, I was using the spider bar for squats, going knee, like sleeveless, all that kind of stuff. Specificity basically was 0.
What is that?
The most experimental blocking training I've ever had, except for maybe I guess when I was trying conjugate once upon a time ago. So and 2 weeks, 2 week prep time, turned it around, got a little bit more specific, went out there and I want to say I had one of the best meets I've ever had.
Yep.
And
sometimes it comes together
sometimes
like
it
that.
happens. But is that the ideal? Do you want that taking place with them? Do you want to have that chaos? Not so much. Do you want to, I guess, condition yourself to it and develop robustness and resilience? Absolutely. But reality, from a more realistic perspective, that's more than likely it's not going to happen. So you prepare yourself for it and so on and so forth. You're hoping it doesn't happen.
This is why I love the,
so-
embrace uncertainty.
Embrace uncertainty. However, though, I do think that meet venues themselves need to better prepare, for having meets. It need to be a lot more conducive to
Oh, I
having meets.
100%.
It's like showing up to a basketball court to play basketball, and you find out there's cement there instead of wooden flooring. You find out that the hoops are the wrong size. You find out that it's too high or too low.
You think Michael Jordan would complain about that? I don't know. He'd still be making slam dunks because that's him. He's that kind of player, And I would say, so it's interesting being an equipped lifter. I'll tell you, it's always chaotic. Always. Every 10 years later into this sport, and I've never had a not chaotic warm up because you just see the back room. There's, people running around doing whatever. I've learned to start warming up early because of this chaos, but I don't think I've ever had a meet where it's not chaotic in some way. I'm not necessarily chaotic, but everything around me is slightly chaotic. So I've just learned to expect that instead of just expecting the beautiful day. It's like I expect a little chaos.
At national meets, you have all competition warm-up equipment. You have combo racks. You have
Not
power
always.
bars. You have kilo plates.
There's no excuse for that to not be the case.
Well, I mean, at national meets, yes, but I've been doing this at least to times where I've done equipped meets in CrossFit gyms, where I just used whatever rack they had.
That's what I did.
You
mine.
know,
I think for local meets,
was a horrible
that's
venue.
reasonable because you're not always going to have a venue that's replete with combo racks and kilo like Ryan's is.
Yeah.
Right? You're not going to always have a meet in a gym like that, and it's hard to cart around these fucking things. I know that they do it in mass, but I understand the difficulty there, and sure, you have to kind of adjust as necessary in the warm-up room with whatever equipment you have because you can't just not warm up. But it would be nice to actually have equipment that was up to par.
I mean, nothing else. But the referees officiating, everything like that, expects the lifters to be up to snuff and to be up to par, right? We're supposed to be comp standard.
Yeah.
Why isn't the competition itself the comp standard? Why do we give them a pass? Why should we? Are we not paying for this? This is not a business.
Like this, also,
Oh, definitely. This is preparing. So I'll tell you something. Especially because we're volunteering, we're giving back to high school nationals, and if you look at the sad reality is that only 3% of people are even referees in this sport, and people aren't giving back. And then we have these demands where I want and of course I want perfect spotters and loaders. I want that handoff guy to give me the most buttery smooth handoff ever. But am I gonna bitch if it's not the way I want it to be? No, I adapt and I just hit my bench.
By the way, why is it a rule that you cannot have your own have
I
somebody
really
else
don't
do your
understand
handoffs?
that.
Because like
Because
you can do it in every other federation.
There's so much uncertainty. I mean, you as in training, you're basically developing that dynamic with yourself and who potentially gets who's giving you handoffs over and over again. Meet shows up as some schlep who's like 16 years old, who's never lifted before. You say, I want it just like give me about 10%. Okay, lifts and boom, there it goes. Like dumps it onto your chest. Yeah. So what do you do in that situation?
Why is that a
crew is
rule?
good. I would say the national crew is very, very good. They have some great schools that give back. It's a lot of the
Yeah,
college
but
kids, and I've been there before.
Can you speak to why that's a rule?
I really think it comes more from the IPF standard where they're trying to make the conditions the same for everyone. So that every single person has that same handoff person.
I guess that's fair.
Every single person has
but
the same referees. The referees don't switch out.
No, but I think,
Like, what if I had to go to the bathroom in the middle?
I still think it's fair enough than else because you have your own wrist wraps, you have your own knee sleeves, you have your own belt, broken down to whatever degree they happen to be breaking down to, and so on and so forth. You have your own singlet.
Not everybody has to wear the same brand knee sleeves.
So it
the
makes
same
it-
No, and
brand
at
belt.
the end of the day, USAPL is not part of the IPF anymore, so
I know.
they've switched
So
plenty
really,
of
they
rules
could-
already. So why not change?
Yeah,
it
you
as
can
well?
lift your head off the bench, but you
Yeah.
can't have somebody hand off for you.
There's many rules there as well, like the whole heels down thing, that kind of stuff. But
Oh my god!
when it comes down to that, at the very least, though, getting a handoff from somebody else, I train without handoffs. I will refuse
me too.
a handoff.
Yeah.
I don't want
Same.
anybody to give me handoffs, period. Because I've had people who I've worked with who gave me handoffs, and then maybe out of spite, who the hell knows? Like when I asked my guys to give me a spot for a PR attempt, dumped it on me. Or robbed me of the PR attempt as it's coming up.
This is
So I
also
learned
where
to do
you
it by
have to
myself.
explain. Like, I recognize, for example, raw, I don't take any handoffs. Equipped, I'm kind of forced to have to take a handoff, especially after a certain
different,
point.
I know.
I can like self handoff for a while, and eventually I just need help with it. And I've learned that I need to explain it to them better. If they didn't give me what I wanted, it's because I didn't explain it well.
So, hold a second. Let's go back to this again. Let's talk about like things I guess that happen in quick lifting and so on and so forth. Does somebody not help you put on your bench shirt?
Yeah.
Does somebody help you put on your squat suit?
No.
Does somebody help you put on your
Yes.
No, I put,
can't
the
put your
slippers.
straps up.
I hang on it.
Okay. Does somebody help you put on your knee wraps?
Yes.
So can we not argue the point that maybe that's the same thing as somebody helping you lift off?
Yeah, we can say that that's relatively similar.
Because the lift off is helping the lifter itself.
Yep.
Just like the knee wrap guy helps the lifter as well.
So now think about standardizing knee wraps. So let's say we made some poor sucker wrap 10 people back to back.
exactly.
You want to be
They
that 10th
Yeah, I
person
know.
and you're the one lifting last? Hell no.
I don't even want to be the guy doing
that.
the knee wraps.
I don't want to be the guy giving the lift offs.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they do with lift offs.
That's
They
my
have
thing.
somebody
Let's
do like
reduce it.
100 lift offs. The team will mess up something.
I always
Yeah.
give lift offs.
Like, I don't
at the
blame them, like,
GPT
at
meets,
one
and I'm
point,
fucking good.
That probably has happened. I haven't seen it happen, but imagine the person gives you a lift off and he trips. And you have to complete that lift, correct? Let's just say that.
Oh, you can technically bring it back into the rack.
Or you bring it
And
back
you're
to the
allowed
rack.
to get a second lift off if it wasn't good the
But
first
now
time.
you do one of these.
Yeah, you like ball
oh,
away and stuff. And
You're
that's
back in
not a
again.
comforting feeling.
Exactly.
But I would say that, again, a very good
I do
lifter
think
will
that you-
put it behind them and just keep moving forward and be like, you know what, let's do that again.
I agree.
Like, and you're allowed. You have a whole minute
Yeah.
to do this, and that's why you show up at the platform ready to
I
go.
do.
at the
I
minute
do
mark.
agree that you do need to adapt to the environment. Like, if there's crappy handoffs, if there's just any sort of environmental situations that are kind of throwing you off, you can't just. I mean, what are you going to do?
Quit?
you
Stop.
could.
Let's say
That's the most readily available option. But you do have to adapt to the environment.
That's true, but the psychological effect of it. Let's just because I'm a person basically who likes to amp themselves before this. The last meet I was at was a disaster. 7
Last meet?
misloads.
Oh, you mean
7 misloads. 7
Damn.
misloads. 9 attempts, 7 misloads. I had 2 misloads for 1 squat.
Yikes.
That's wild.
So this stuff happens, and now I'm getting ready to squat. I'm getting in my head. I'm getting in my headspace. I'm like turning on my A game, turning on my game face. Getting ready. And as I get up there, oh, hold on a second. Wait a second. All that
So-
start back to square zero again.
I'll say this
They
as
got-
a ref. Like, I double check that always. Like, as a head ref, it is on them to double check with the.
Before
Ideally,
they see
if
it.
you have amazing spotters and loaders, they get the right weight on. But again, I've also worked with. It's the first time that, and especially because I do local meets, national. Like, I've seen all levels of it, and remember that not enough people are giving back. So spotters
no,
and
I know.
loaders are generally college kids that we pay
And that's
money
exactly
to
what
do
they had.
this.
So, but like you also look at different kind of meets. It's not just a local meet; it's the primetime meet.
Well, so that's where they have the premio crew. So, for example, like there is also the premio crew at nationals. They get reserved for prime time. And then you have maybe the other crews that are still developing. Maybe they're really damn good, but they're not the creme de la creme. And like, you know, as Northeastern powerlifting back in the day, we were the creme de la creme crew at nationals. So we were the ones doing it the whole day long. But then they reserve, like, for example, you may not do the morning session and they have a different crew do the morning session. Especially with mega nationals where we had this shit going on 5-6 days. You can't have the same spotters and loaders the whole time.
I ended up working a platform.
I worked a platform at collegiates last year. I was a ref, and they were just short-staffed. And I jumped in because they needed somebody. And I actually conned it to the kids from Northeastern team to also jump in. I was like, hey, you guys want a free A7 shirt? Like $50? And they were like, okay. So I was able to get them to do it. But I think more people need to give back.
That's absolutely true. And I personally would give back. But I work 80 to 100 hours on average. I'm not kidding you. Like, it's ridiculous how many people I coach and so on and so forth. The meets I have to attend as a handler, as a coach. You know, every weekend I have to take care of my son and so on and so forth. I've made different things happen. You have the shoe business. I mean, that's a me problem. I understand it. You know, and there's ways that I give back as well.
Mateo could give back though.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah, jump
I
in
have
a
school
little
right
spot
now.
and
I have
load.
school.
I'm busy.
I'm running.
I have a few classes a week. I can't
Yeah.
go to weekend meets and help out.
No, I could. My mom wanted.
But there need to be better incentives though for people who don't have much going on to show up to these meets and to help out at these meets.
So I'll give a
that's
shout out actually to another girl on this list, Meg Schroeder, here on the equipped list, number 3 right now in points on the Northeastern powerlifting team where I came from. And that's the culture of it. The reason why I give back so much to the sport is because it was ingrained into me from my collegiate years. Funny enough, too, there's actually, so we said only 3% of people are giving back like to these things. The vast majority of those people are actually equipped lifters. And of course we get dumped on during these situations. But I know that it's a lot of the college kids giving back. It's maybe the, either like older individuals, right? So that's another thing too. Like being a national ref, I look at some of these guys and they're in their 60s, 70, and that's awesome that they're doing this. But the poor things are up at these times. I'll tell you. So funny
Meet
enough.
directors are getting better with giving some incentives
get
though for
stipends
people
and
to come
stuff.
out. Not even just
This
for the
past year
referees, but
alone,
for the
Food.
Yeah, it's gotten old.
for the spotters and loaders. You know, like I know Ryan's good, Cordero's good. I don't really know any. What's that guy's name? Jan in New York.
Yeah,
Like,
the meat directors are like
some of
getting
them are
better here,
getting
like,
better and they're
back.
giving out money. They're making sure you're fed, things like that. Because prior to that, like if you're not getting any other incentive than just being like, you should just give back because it's the right thing to do. It's like, yes, but actually no, because I have my own life.
I know.
And,
That's
you
what
know,
it comes down to. Ultimately, it's basically like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I have a whole lot of things taking place in my life over here. Why am I going to spend this?
You're going to give me $100 to do it, sure.
Like lifting weights and so on and so forth. So we have to, give them a sufficient enough why.
Yeah.
Joey Shepard, for example. Shepard Strength. He's like a USP, was USPA, like WRPF, I guess, meet director. The best meets I've ever been to, and he takes care of his team. You see the loyalty there. It's like one cohesive unit that works together, like loading, all like spotting, officiating, all that stuff. They work like clockwork together. It's impressive. It's a sight to behold. That meet was better conducted than any national meet that I've ever been to. I was at the.
But was it a small? How big was the meet itself, though?
It was a 2-day meet. I think it was 100 lifters per day.
That's a
Untested
pretty big
meet and attested.
That's a pretty
Attested
big
meet and
meet,
untested meat.
Because I was going to argue that it might not be as
No,
big
there was a lot
as
there.
chaotic as a national meet.
No, absolutely not.
I'll tell you, like nationals, the chaos of nationals. So at mega nationals, I'll tell you that I competed. Immediately after competing, I got drug tested. Right after drug testing, I went and I handled another lifter, an equipped lifter, wrapping knees, everything. Went to bed, died that evening at like 8 or 9 p.m. Woke up at 5 a.m. the next morning to run weigh-ins at 6 a.m., to then sit in the ref chair all morning, to then coach another athlete in the afternoon. And they were still short-staffed. Like, to run a whole 6-day meet, there's not enough people.
No, I know. I agree.
And it just comes at inconvenient times. So I'm exhausted.
Which
but
goes back, I
making it
guess,
happen.
to the other issue that exists in powerlifting, is having too many federations. Imagine, let's just say, like this is 100%, I guess, like a masturbatory practice because it's never going to happen. But imagine, like we had all the meets and all the handlers and loaders from all these meets come together into one meet, one national event, or maybe a drug tested and untested meet.
that would be.
Just imagine how many hands on deck you'd have available, you know?
Yeah.
So this is what happens when you have a burgeoning sport like we do with powerlifting, where it's growing. And like what's happened in the past 4 years is ridiculous in powerlifting. How it's shifted, how it's transformed, thanks to TikTok. And thanks to these millennials.
Don't
these,
look at me like
boomers.
that. That's it. I'm not even on TikTok. Why are you looking at me like that?
You know, so, thanks to
The TikTok generation.
thanks to the professionally bashed millennials and whatnot, you know, it has transformed. We're in the golden age of the sport right now. You know, this is when the ABA and the NBA turned into into ABA. We're at that moment, I think, in some respects.
But there's
You know,
like 8 different federations. So that's
federations, I know.
hard.
And the IPF is certainly not helping anybody else out with their shenanigans. And it's so acrimonious. And it doesn't need to be. We don't have that many.
I don't think USAPL will ever
I don't blame them.
converge with a
I absolutely
or
do not
merge
blame
with
them.
with an untested.
No,
Oh, well,
because that's the
untested?
whole thing,
Yeah.
though.
But yeah, I mean, we're
that's
supposed to be like a
that's the whole
drug-free
thing.
But that's,
organization.
but that's
here.
what it used to be. That's what it used to be because of IPF, correct?
Well, I mean, like, we got kicked out of the IPF because
know.
we were trying to hold the standard of a
Yeah, I know.
drug-free
I know.
organization.
No,
Okay, so I get that. In fact, let me walk that back. Let me walk that back a little bit. You know, because for all intents and purposes, IPF is an untested federation.
Yeah, in a lot of countries. A lot of countries.
They were like more
themselves.
drug tests, bro. I don't think so.
Yeah.
What?
If they're not my tests, you're not doing
But I will
it.
say
My
that,
test
like-
costs $1,000.
I'm not
by the
making
way.
money out of my test. You
Yeah,
can't
that's
make-
pretty
you
much
can't
what
take
it came
tests.
down to.
I'll tell you, though, that I just got out of meat tested this week. I know a lot of the lifters on this list that we just talked about that are competing in a few weeks also got out of meat drug tested. On top of, I get drug tested at every single meet. I'll tell you, I've done 2 full level WADA tests, like glass vials and all, with an external testing company.
I don't doubt
Like,
it at all.
you know-
So I'm all for it, and I love it. I'm a drug tested lifter for that reason. My whole thing is basically I just want to do what I can do without have anything augmented for me. You know, it's my thing. It's my personal thing. I'm sure we all share that in common here because we're all tested lifters. When it comes down to people being untested, I think this mentality, you know, it seems almost as though they're being treated as though they're subhuman. You know, like in other words, like they're lesser beings.
When they're really superhuman.
yeah,
I'm kidding. For all intents and purposes.
you know, but that kind of stuff. So I say, why not embrace them? Because they're lifters too.
Yeah.
You know, they're part of the part of the lifting community. And so for USAPL to have that vibe, and it is an elitist vibe and whatnot.
It is.
I think it's wrong-minded, particularly considering the fact that we don't have enough floaters. We don't have enough spotters. You can barely get the venues that we need and whatnot. You know, I don't think we can afford to have this mindset. Nor should we. It's a very non-conducive
It's a
mindset.
very, it is very elitist.
I'll mention this, though. So it's interesting because we don't necessarily have enough people giving back. But how many people do you see advertising themselves as powerlifting coaches on the internet who have no powerlifting experience? They've maybe
many.
done a meet or two. They've never volunteered. So I'll tell you.
What does that have to do with it?
No, so I'll tell you, as a
for
coach,
volunteer-
I
Where
learned
are
a
you
lot.
going with
I-
this?
as
For
a coach, I've
volunteering, I'm
learned a lot
100% guilty because
volunteering.
I've never have volunteered. I've never had the chance to. I don't have the time to do so. I'd love to volunteer. I was considering USAPL, like, you know, like refereeing on quite a few different occasions and all that stuff. But the practicality of it, it's very tough for me to get off on weekends.
That's fair.
You know, that's how my schedule is. And unfortunately for me, like when I personally get more overtime is over the weekends.
Yeah.
So I'm dealing with a whole lot of money I'll be losing to show up to these events when I have bills to pay, I have things to take care of. And many other people find themselves in this kind of situation as well, I think.
That's fair.
So I don't think I understand where you're coming from, but at the same time, it's not not rewarding enough for people, I guess, to deal with day to day to just volunteer. USAPL as a federation makes enough money in the millions to do something to better reward these people.
I totally agree with that.
Russell Orey said that he wants to increase the price of meats and whatnot. I think he said double, whatever, triple, whatever the case happens to be. I think he's wrong in that regard. But where he's right is the fact that maybe we need to charge a bit more, make it a rated system.
Yeah.
Maybe I guess you can offer a little bit more and you get a little T-shirt or something like that as an incentive for having done so. You know, like a certain status, like a patronage.
Yeah.
You know, things of that nature to kind of help, I guess, like fuel the sport and to fuel the federation and to put more in your coffers so we can better take care of each other on meet day where it counts. Instead of having to go to CrossFit gym where you have, like, you know, people who've never spotted before, never loaded before, you know, out there doing that stuff and mooring people's days. And robbing them of experiences that they should be having.
But you already paid for the meet, though. You already paid to sign up for a meet. The membership itself, I don't think is.
I think the membership could also go up. 65.
Yeah.
It could
the
go up.
membership
No,
could
I'm
go
not
up,
saying it couldn't
definitely.
go up, but I'm saying that you already pay the money to join to do a meet, right? You paid like a different amount. I'm not talking about the membership itself. So I'm pretty sure the spotters are getting paid from that money that you paid to sign up for the meet, right?
That's if they're getting paid.
Yeah, if they're
Yeah,
getting paid.
so
If
I'll
they're
tell you
getting
that
paid.
stipends for nationals run anywhere from like 80 to 100
Nationals,
bucks a
yes,
session.
but local,
But still,
Local meets maybe $50.
okay,
a
but
session.
still, you pay money to join that to compete at nationals. You don't just get into nationals just because you paid for your membership. You have to pay for your membership and also pay another like $100 or $150 to be able to compete in nationals. So I'm pretty sure that the membership money, even if we increase the price, I don't think that the spotters and the loaders and the reps will get any.
So it goes back
from
to
the
any amount of
membership
that.
price.
So
Yeah, I
see where
agree.
you're coming from. And honestly, there's a point there. Is mismanagement of funds an issue with powerlifting federations in general? Is it an issue in the USAPL? I would say yes.
So one of the things I think
we could
people
talk a
don't
lot about
consider is the spectacle. So, for example, we just talked about this insane prime time, or this whole series that's about to happen. But it's interesting the production value that has increased tremendously.
Yes.
So I started in the sport like 10 years ago. I will tell you, we did not have the light shows that we have now at nationals. We used to just like have them in little ballrooms.
I also
little
don't
hotels.
think light shows are incentivizing.
But no, it looks cool. It looks badass,
more volunteers,
right?
though.
Well, no, it doesn't incentivize volunteers, but that's where the
They're
money's
not like,
going.
ooh,
The light screen is that's a very hefty
So where's the
fee.
money for me signing up for Amigo?
It goes to a lot. It goes to a lot of different places. But the light
Goes to
shows
Alaska,
to get
bro.
that
Okay,
light
okay.
screen.
It does go to Alaska.
It goes into a lot of things. The light screen is a huge fee. The venue, these hotels, like you're taking out multiple ballrooms for multiple
Hold on.
days.
But that's
I
why
am not 100% sure of this, but I am pretty sure that you they don't charge for you to get those ballrooms because they bring so many people to the hotel.
I think
This
so.
is what I
Well, I mean,
heard
this
from.
is why we can't do regional. Like, this is why Ryan can't hold a Pro Series meet here in Connecticut. So, like, even Ryan, who we give back to his meets all the time, local meets, he can't run a regional meet because it would be too expensive. Because the venues in the Northeast are more expensive than venues down south.
Okay,
so
but-
now you have to look at where you're getting these venues.
Well, we could do
State by
something.
state, it may be
But
different.
we could do anything at Foxwoods. We could do anything.
So we've done Foxwoods, and we used to have a good connection, or Mohegan.
Mohegan
We used to do
Sun.
Mohegan. Again, though, because of how expensive it is to host it there,
So they're
we're
still
not
charging.
making enough to like profit. You're just breaking even.
So the casinos are still charging.
I could see maybe for
Yeah.
a regional
But
meet.
wait,
it's very expensive here.
but USAPL is non-profit, so why do you have to profit out of a meet?
Well, it's not profiting. It's like you're generating money, I guess, for the next event.
But yeah, generate any
Welcome
money.
your coffers.
It's just like, I mean, just
Plus,
to pay
you know,
off the
but whatever.
staff,
Yeah.
you got to rent U-Hauls. Like, think about, like, there's a
You
lot.
can't be operating paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, like, you know, and I mean, especially you just said it yourself. You've got a life. These guys have a life. They've got
No, I know.
families. They got
Yeah,
kids,
yeah,
and
true.
you know, like maybe they're like. Regardless, though, I think a lot really goes into these meets. And I've driven them before. I've driven U-Hauls of equipment to these places. I've taken it all out of the U-Haul, set it all up, broken it all down, come back. There's a lot that goes into these meets. You know, including the Arnold here that we just talked about. There's a lot of effort that goes into this, even like setting up the computer system. Jan from New York, he's a genius. You know, like we have like computer
I was
engineers.
competing all the way in Baltimore. People have good things to say about Jan.
Oh, fantastic guy. I love helping out his meets. But like, I know that for 4 days, this man's not going to sleep because he's the guy running the computers. If you're ever wondering who runs this stuff in the back, like, we're working from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. because we're not just working one session.
No, I know.
We're there on setup, breakdown, and things like that.
And to his credit, I mean, at that meet, that was at prime time. Not only was the guy doing that, he was also the guy who was officiating.
Yeah.
And the person I think who caught all those missiles was Jan.
Yeah, of course. Because he's a high-level referee. He's got eyes and ears everywhere. You know, he's got eyes on the computer screen, and it's like, oh, that's not the load that I have on this computer screen in front of me. So he at least can watch those things.
And
But
just,
still,
it
like,
made me wonder, like, you know, like legit, like the weights, you know, the plates are all that stuff. They're displayed on the screen. You have these plates down over here. Mix and match. You like match what you see up there with what's over here. I think it's that simple. You know, apparently
It
it's too
really
tall.
is that simple.
It was. It blew my mind. I got to the point that
Rarely do we have. I mean, I spot and load all the time for Ryan's
I'm
meets.
getting ready for
Rarely do we miss the
You
bar. It
that's-
happens,
like,
but
very infrequently.
Yeah.
But I just remember like getting ready for bench press, like the announcer, like, you know, busting my chops, like, oh wait, let's see if they misloaded his attempts again.
Yeah.
And I literally had to
when
stop.
it becomes a
take a look.
running joke within the meet, then
Yeah.
it's a problem.
Legit. Like, my first attempt on bench press was also misloaded. Yeah,
Was it?
it was. It was.
But you
it was
pressed it
supposed to be
already.
430, and they had 417 basically on one side, and 430 is worth on the other side over there.
But you caught it after you benched it, or you
No,
before?
I was getting ready to go up,
Okay.
and then
And
he
he
caught
said,
it.
"Hold."
at least they got you though before you got on the platform. You
You know, it
know,
was
but-
ridiculous. Deadlifts as well, squats.
All right, I would love to keep going on and on and on, but we are running out of time.
Bess wants to go to
Wrapping it
get
up.
his little
Bess
smoke
is
outside.
Bess, yeah.
he's getting tired.
All right, well, I guess that's it for now.
Check out the Arnold in a few weeks.
Check
we'll
out
be
the
heading
Arnold
down.
in a few weeks.
Sophie,
March
thank you for
4th.
joining us.
Yes, thank you
Good
very
luck
much.
on your
Phenomenal.
next-
Thanks for
on-
having me here. It's a
And
fun
good
time.
luck to you, man. Really.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
We'll probably hopefully get to see you here next week.
Yeah, definitely.
For
Another
sure,
Squat
for sure.
Plug episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next Squat Plug episode.
Squat cast.
And we should have you
We're
back.
gonna talk about warm
I
ups.
think we should have you back after the meet, so you
We
tell
should
us
definitely.
We'll do a little
yeah, we'll do
breakdown.
like a little meet
Ooh,
recap.
yeah, we'll do the
And if
recap. See
yeah.
how this
and
worked
if this is your
out.
first episode you're listening, listen to the old one as well, the first one as well. You like that, Bess? I did it.
Yeah, we did it. See, for best.
You were for
Just
the
for
first
best.
episode.
That's it.
All right, guys.
All right.
Peace
Yeah,
out.
Guys.
Take care.